Kind of been looking forward to this, and I've not necessarily dreading, but I've been concerned because I know I talk about love all the time, and for me, love has become like the cornerstone of what my life is about, and it's like it's not I think for me that word kind of gets me in trouble, or because anytime you think of something like the word love, when I think of the word love, and if I tell someone I love them, it has so many different connotations to it, and just about everybody that's experienced this life, you've had someone tell you, I love you. And the person that love you is sometimes the person that hurts you the most. I know I used to tell my family how much I love them and how much I love them. I mean, it was an emotional love. But so I think for me, what it changed to, I always say sometimes I feel like I'm on the Pollyanna soapbox, life is beautiful, life is wonderful. And in reality it is, but there's another side. And that other side often breaks through, and it impacts, so sometimes when you hear the word love, it just sets up some kind of a resistance. So for me, it's not a love. I mean, there's this love, there's I guess a philo love, like just a brotherhood type of a love. And then there's this eros love, I guess that's the romantic love. And then there's just the agape, the love for all. And I try to generate more towards that, because I think for me, the biggest definition that I can have for love is just an unconditional positive regard, just to try my best to have an unconditional positive regard for everything that's happening. I believe that, love, that unconditional positive regard and compassion, because sometimes, our life takes over and we don't realize that, everybody that's going through life is going through life with us, and they're going through something too, so to have compassion, and then for that compassion to maybe bring about a little bit of understanding, however, and for me, the understanding gets mixed because, a lot of things I try to intellectualize, and, the intellectual part doesn't quite do it. And it's through this practice though, to be able to sit in silence and ground within ourselves, and just, I could imagine, sometimes I think back to the Buddha at the Bodhi tree, and he's sitting there and all these demons are approaching him, and he's just sitting there in calm and peace. And I'm thinking, what's that about? He's just sitting by a tree. And I realized, what? All these demons were created in his own mind. He had to overcome his own self, and it's like, it's not so much what happens to us in life, it's how we deal with it. And then, we become conditioned that, if this happens, you're supposed to be mad. If this happens, just, and, this practice is so powerful because it actually gives you choice, and it gives you responsibility though, more than anything else, because, you used to could say, oh, I got overwhelmed by my emotions. I mean, that can still happen, even though we practice. But what we see is that by being able to ground within ourselves, to sit in silence and just make sitting in silence and peace just the most important intention for that time. And as goes on, all these things start coming up, thoughts about the past, fears of the future. And we realize that these things can torment us, but what happens is they're just thoughts. And I wouldn't say that we're doing it to ourselves. I mean, like, we're all in this life together. We're just experiencing this life with everyone else. And, what the biggest thing I'm trying to do is trying to have an idea that life is really sentient, and life is really for us. and life really has us, you know, the good for all of us. And so sometimes it just seems like, you know, things just push us and pull us, push us and pull us. And we realize that, okay, if I just sit here, the push and pull gets to be less and less. And then I can actually choose, you know. And sometimes it's hard to choose to have, you know, it's it's not like, you know, it's hard to choose to be unconditionally positive in your regard to whatever is happening, you know, because things happen and it is so difficult. I mean, you know, something happened with this war, you know, and it just, I mean, it almost knocked it. I mean, I'm, it, I don't know. It's like I was living in some kind of dream fantasy world or something. I mean, I knew that, you know, wars and all these stripes and all this, but just to think that, you know, here's a superpower that just decided that, you know what, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna, I said, wow, what is this? You know, and um, it was kind of coming into like it wasn't humorous, but someone made a comment, you know, the strong was always taking advantage of the weak, you know, and someone said, wow, what's new about that? You know, and I mean, this is something that's been going on forever and ever. But the hope is that somehow this, whatever it is, that I mean, I'm more convinced than anything that there's just a core, basic core goodness inside of everyone. I mean, when I was in prison, I had three practices that sustained me through that whole experience. One was centering prayer. That was like a religious kind of spiritual base, but it was centering. It was the same thing. And it was the moving meditation, the Tai Chi chair that we were doing. And it was this Buddhist practice, you know. And all these things were instrumental in bringing me to myself, you know. And as I look back over my life and I started looking at, wow, you know, I grew up in Oakland, California, you know, it's, you know, crime, drug infested, you know, we actually became products of our environment, you know, without knowing that we were being a product of our environment. You know, we thought this is what we're, you know, you're supposed to do this. You're supposed to be part of this, whatever it is. You know, we didn't actually have gangs, but we had like I guess what you call criminal organizations, the little criminal set. You're supposed to be this, you know, you're supposed to sell drugs, you're supposed to carry weapons. And it's like we knew that you know, there's the part of us that knew that we weren't supposed to, but there's just something about the draw or something that just pulled us in. Before we know it, here we are in this. And now we're living in this circular world that you can't get out of, you know, because it's just self-destructive. It's destructive to you, it's destructive to everyone around. And I think the thing that one of the things that devastated me the most is I always had this problem with death. And my sister and I, we were so close. And she died. She was sick. She had diabetes. And then my mother died within the next year. And then my oldest son got murdered. And I go up on the corner and I see him laying in the street, just shot to pieces. And I mean, everything just went out of me. I mean, and I just got consumed with so much hate and I couldn't get out of it. I mean, I think just by the grace of the way the universe works, I wasn't able to enact all these things that I had in my mind to enact, you know. But I mean, I swear I would, if I just say that for like almost 10 years straight, just about all I did was got high and plot revenge, you know, and just, I guess, I won't say luckily, but maybe luckily, you know, the accumulation of, I did end up in prison, you know, but the hate was so, I mean, I couldn't get through it, you know, I mean, and for some reason, it reminds me of like a nuclear physics type of a experiment, you know, like everything is existing in this wave, and the wave, I guess, is the chi. And then what happens is whatever happens causes some type of an impact that causes it to be a particle, and the particle impacts upon itself, and now here's a particle and another particle. A wave can't collide with another wave, but a particle can collide with a particle, and a particle causes so much chaos to explode from, from the particle. And I mean, because of the way that the wave works, it actually will filter itself out. But in the meantime, while you're experiencing that, you're in chaos. And I think what happened was just because, they have the saying, many are called, but few are chosen. I mean, because volunteers came to that prison, really came. And I mean, I can imagine, getting a call from your inner self saying, I want you to go to prison and I want you to to teach Buddhism, and I want you. And like some people said, no, I'm not. Those were the people that were called. The ones that were chosen, they know. Wow, it was nothing that could have stopped me from going in there. I mean, that was like the safety mechanism of life, where each one can reach one and go into the darkest depths, and just to be able to shine a little light into that particle and have that particle expand and start coming back to the wave. And then from that little light that was instilled in each little particle, it would go back, and each light would light another light and another light and another light. And I think that's what's really happening in this world. I think that the reason why we're so overwhelmed by the bad things that seem to happen is because the world is changing, so that anything that's bad is really, really bad. But in reality, when everything works itself out, at least this is my hope, this is my dream, that when everything works itself out, there'll be some type of a grand awakening. I mean, I look at, things like the Hunger Games and the Diversion and all these different, where the world is just taken over by power mad people that don't care anything about anybody. But it's underneath, there's a core of, goodness that shines out, and it reaches out and it touches the world, and it helps us to expand and be compassionate with others. I feel like I'm kind of stumbling a little bit, but it's okay because, I'm trying to put my thoughts together, uh, and I'm hoping that just the message of what I'm trying to say about how beautiful life is. And, for me, it's like when that light finally came through and I was able to, and, because that hate, it caused me to lose everything. I mean, I lost everything, my family, I mean, my job, I mean, whatever it was, it was just gone. The hate was so destructive. And that's why I'm so sold on love, because if it wasn't for love, if it wasn't for someone or the power of that love, someone loving me when I couldn't love myself, and someone showing me something inside of myself that was worth. And then for me to be able to just, promote that, to keep promoting that, to be a promotion of, it almost brings tears to my eyes when I hear my sangha say, Lawrence, you're love, and it's like, wow, because I remember the time when I wasn't. And now that I really am, I can accept that there is love in my heart, and that love is that universal love that wants to see good for everybody. I don't know how it's going to come apart, but I know I'm going to do my part to just try to be as understanding and as compassionate as I can for what anybody and everybody's going through, and try not to look down on anyone. So I think what helped me was the thing about gratitude, appreciation, joy. And it's like, if you just find one thing to be grateful about, just whatever it is, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, or it's raining and we really need that rain. And then when you appreciate that, then that automatically brings joy. And then joy just expands out into the world and into the universe and has a way of uplifting, and it's like, part of me that feels like, because, you can't have a day bad enough to make somebody else's day good. In other words, if they're having a bad day and you're having a good day, and you're trying to tell them about, something that's good about the day, and they don't want to hear it, and before you know it, you're having a bad day. You can't have a bad day bad enough to make their day good. So just do your best to continue on and have the best day that you can have. You know, and we appreciate, I mean, because it starts with you. It comes out from you. And everything that you do, it's like we're all just the center of the universe. But the universe is, that's the way the universe is. You know, the power, whatever this thing is that we're a part of, we're all a part of it, you know? And so whatever, it's like anything that we do to harm others, we're actually really harming ourselves because we are the others. And it's just my hope that somehow the world will wake up and we can all, you know, I mean, I don't know. I get some, yeah, I mean, you know, because I still got have a lot of voices in my past, you know, look at you, you know, you big old softy and all that. But it's okay for me, you know, to be that big softy, to be that teddy bear. You know, I don't have to be. I mean, there was a time when you just had to. I mean, I don't know anybody that's been in prison. You know, you had to be out there. You had to be hard. You had to show. You know, I'm not no joke. You know, my life is serious business. You know, and if you cross this, you're in. And then just to change to like, well, you know what? I'm not that. I'm you know, all I have is a positive regard for you. Whatever you're going through, I'll do whatever I can to encourage you. I don't want to discourage you. I want you to keep on because I really truly believe that, you know, life is getting better and better and better. The more it expands, you know, the older I get, I see that life is getting better. You know, I mean, no matter what's happening, we're able to understand things a little bit better and what causes these different things. You know, I just feel like, you know, there's a call, just like when I look at someone like the girl in the Arab country, Malala, and I look at the other girl, Greta, that went to the UN and said, you know, you guys are destroying this world, you know, and it's like, we got to wake up because I think the world being a sentient being, I mean, it's just tired of human beings. You know, as human beings, you know, man, I mean, messed up the earth, the air, the ozone, the strip mine, the planet, and then got nerve enough to be killing each other. I mean, shoot, if I was somewhere out of space, I would say, hey, you know what? You got humans on your planet. I got something for you. Spray some of this COVID-19 down there and eradicate those, get them out of there. They're tearing it up. So I just think that, you know, there's going to be a time when just from no other thing except just survival that we have to come together and unite some kind of way. So my thing is that there is an intangible force, and that force is uniting the world through love and compassion and understanding, and that force will win, and that force will take us where we need to go. And with that, I want to thank you. I want to let you guys know, and you know what, when it comes to this sangha, this is one of the only, I mean, every week I look forward to this. And it reminds me of, you know, when I was in prison, like some days you just didn't feel like going, you know, but every time you go, you're rewarded. And I think every time we show up here, we're rewarded, because it hasn't been a time that I've shown up when someone hasn't said even the smallest thing that uplifted my day, that gave me insight to something. So this thing that we're a part of, I mean, it's really a beautiful thing, and it's really an honor and a privilege for me to be a part of this. And that's why when I say I love you, I don't mean, you know, the mushy love, like I'm gonna jump all over you and start hugging you and kiss you. But it means that I have the most unconditional, positive regard for you and your life and the things that you're doing and the things that we're doing together. And it's just, like I say, an honor and a privilege to be a part of this. So with that, I will return back to the leader. Thank you so much.